Respect, respect, respect. Respect Cupid. Respect Cupid. Cupid, Cupid. Respect to you. Respect to you. Yes, sorry. But you got to eat or something. I gotta get some water to wash it down with. Respect, respect, respect. Watch the replay, whatever. This is the past part 4. The last 3 minutes. Let's get started on it. Let's get started on it right here. It is well known that African Americans face the constant threat of ritualistic, unpublished attacks, ritualistic public execution by white mobs, unpublished, unpunished attack by individual, and police brutality in Jericho, America. But how they respond to this is a myth that persists in an effort to find lawful ways to address such events. Some black people made logistic, linguistic appeals to convince police and civic leaders their rights and lives should be protected. And guess what? And we're still doing that till this day. We'll still try to make appeal and convince police and civic leaders that our lives matter. Our lives matter, right? Okay. Yet the crushing weight of hostile criminal justice of a hostile justice and a rigidity of color line often muted those petitions, leaving black people vulnerable to more mistreatment and murder. Hmm. Think about it. It seems like the more we do, the more or less that we are vulnerable, especially with the justice system like it really is, which is not is, justice is not blind. They expected, and they fought back. Distressed by public racial violence are willing to accept it. Many adhere to emerging ideologies of outright rebellion, particularly after the turn of the 20th century and the emergence of a new urban, more educated than their parents, and all to trade military and coming of age following World War One, sought to secure themselves in the only ways left. Many believe, as Marcus once told a harder audience, that black folk never gained freedom by praying for it. How many of y'all think that's true? There's a lot of think that's true. For new Negroes, the contemplative effort of groups like the NAACP were not urgent enough. Most notably, they defended themselves furiously nationwide during the bloodshed of the Red Summer of 1919 when whites attacked African Americans in multiple cities across the country. Whites may have initiated most race riots in the early Jim Crow era, but some also happened as black people rejected the limitation placed on their life, luxury, and labor. And when they refused to fall under the weight of white supremacy, the magnitude of racial and state violence often came down upon black people who defended themselves from police and citizens. But that did not stop some from sparking personal and collective insurrection. I'm just going to go ahead and say this right here. That's that's we fought back with more intelligent and more military movement that we fought back. It wasn't nothing that we just laid down. There was nothing to it. We just gotta keep fighting. Just don't take nothing for granted. Don't take anything that's gonna be given to us. Okay? Just keep fighting. Myth number 5, that crack in the ghetto was the last that crack in the ghetto quote that crack in the quote unquote ghetto was the largest drug crisis of the 1980s. The bodies of people of color have a persistent history of total and criminalization in the U.S., like total war, total enlist and mobilize the resources of mainstream society to liberate the resources and infrastructure of the vulnerable. This had been done to Black people through a robust prison industry complex that feeds on their vilification and incarceration. Disenchantment and erasure. And the crack epidemic of the late 1980s and the 90s is a clear example of this cycle. Even though more white people reported using crack more than Black people in a 1991 National Institute of Drug Abuse survey, Black people were sentenced for crack off 8 times more than whites, which was true, and it still is true today. If a melanated man commit this, or a melanated woman commit this kind of crime, and is saved for the Caucasian or anybody else, the melanated man will get more time for the same damn crime. For the same crime. Say I'm wrong about that. Say that I'm wrong about that. We see it all the time. Meanwhile, there was a corresponding cocaine epidemic in white suburbs and college campuses that compelled the U.S. to install harsher penalties for crack than for cocaine. For example, in 1987, before the enactment of the federal mandatory minimum sentence for crack cocaine offenses, the average federal drug sentence for African American was 11% higher than for white. 4 years later, the average federal drug sentence for African American was 49% higher. See, what's the difference? See, sentencing for crack cocaine. Okay, this is what it said: crack cocaine. See, that people were sentenced for crack offense 8 times more. Crack offense, okay. See, harsher penalty for crack than cocaine. Guess what? Cocaine is crack. Just in the cocaine is in a powder form, but crack cocaine. That's why sometimes people call it hard. Even through the 90s and beyond, the media and supposed liberal allies like Hillary Clinton designated Black children and teens as drug dealing super predators to mostly white audience. The criminalization of people of color during the crack epidemic made mainstream white Americans comfortable knowing that this was a contained black on black problem. This was no contained black on black problem. It never was. Because there were more whites using that same product. The same product. How is it that we as melanated kings and queens see how they use us and try to say this why this go on in this neighborhood because they do this right there when there were more other skin color persuasion. You're doing the same thing, but more at a more rapid rate. It also left white America unprepared to deal with the approach of the opiate epidemic, which is often a white-on-white crime who's dealing with avoid prison, see these shackles, they beating their family behind, OxyContin, who has served no jail time, and Johnson Johnson, which got a $107 million break in fines when it was found liable for marketing practices that led to thousands of overdose deaths. Unlike Black Americans who are sent to prison, these white dealers retain their right to vote, lobby, and hold on to their wealth. They're kind of funny, hey, how that worked. Kind of funny how that worked. I know I said I'm gonna get the last 3 minutes. Yeah. I want y'all to marinate on the first two. First two I just read. See, they put the fear because there were more whites. We never, some of us melanated people, majority of melanated people haven't did know opium, which our counterpart, they weren't ready for it. But look at these billion-dollar companies that push out this drug and they don't go to jail. Yeah, the justice system is blind when it comes to a whole lot of things. But when it comes to us, they're not blind. So I'm gonna close this out tonight. By letting you know that if nobody told you today that they love you, I do. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep moving. We got to keep rising up above, no matter what they say, above everything else. We got to keep coming up. We got to keep rising. If our brother or sister need help, let's help them out. Because we stronger than numbers. Then we all are apart. This has been one of these short, quick that I do tonight. I love every one of y'all. And peace.